and welcome to the Dogish Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to dog parents and all the topics, events, personalities that are impacting their lives today. My name is Jasen, Arias, co-founder of Forever USA Photography, and with me is the lovely Sylvia Wes, founder of Dog Up in This Bitch Dog Training. How are you today?
You know, Jason, I'm just chilling. That's for real.
It's a chill day. Today's in the afternoon instead of the morning like the other.
Yeah. And I had a bunch of coffee, so I'm a little jacked, but not too jacked.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I saw you drinking your Starbucks a little bit ago. And so today we're going to be talking with Miss Kristin Morrison, who is almost a 6-time author. And owns an entire academy dedicated to training dog businesses and pet businesses, and really focusing, like, one of the things that I thought was fascinating when we spoke with her just a little bit was how much self-care was involved in this too, and we really spend some time on that. So that was really, really cool. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Did that one look different this time, Sylvia? Did it do the...
I didn't check. I just hit continue. I just consent. You know, I'm one of those people.
Oh, I'm going to send you a contract. It's funny because my husband's a lawyer, and he definitely likes to review the contracts.
Yeah, I'm one of those people who just I just hit agree.
Yeah, I know. It's easier. So many words.
I mean, jumping straight into the business conversation, what an asset that is to have in your world. Like, the number of times that I've wished that somebody could just kind of help me make sure that I'm wording things properly. Like,
exactly.
Is that where you kind of got started with all of this, or how'd you get started into pet business?
Well, yeah. And first I'll actually start with my husband. So I met him 3 months before I sold my business, and he noticed the contract that the business broker sent me and said, and we were just dating at the time, you know, and he said, I really want to help you with this. I don't think you're going to be happy with this contract. I want to help. And I was very resistant to it because we were just starting to date. And it's like, I don't want you to be, you know, mixing business with pleasure, you know, all that. But he was very helpful, and he has been very helpful in my business, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, I started my business in 1995, and before I started, I had always loved animals, as a lot of people who are now into the pet care industry, or people that are interested, you know, have had a deep love for animals. That's me as well. Ever since I was just as far back as I can remember, I just absolutely love animals, and knew at some point I would want to work with them. And I couldn't, sorry about that noise. My light fell. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a vet. I worked at a vet hospital. I was assisting in surgery just as an assistant. I wasn't a vet tech or anything. And I fainted when I saw blood. And
that would be me.
Yeah. So that really dashed the dream of like, oh, I'm going to be a veterinarian. It was like, nope, that's not going to happen. And so I just dabbled in things, exploring different opportunities, and wasn't finding it. And then one day I saw a woman. I didn't even know that dog walking was a thing, that it was actually something that you could do as a profession, or even work for somebody that had a business. Again, this is in the mid 90s, and there was a woman walking a dog, and she had a dog walking. Clearly, it was a dog walking company T-shirt on, and I stopped her and I said, "Do you have a dog walking business?" She said, "I do. Do you want to work for me?" And it was one of those moments. Like, even every time I tell this story, you guys, I get chills, because it was one of those, like, absolutely one of those moments that things shifted, and I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, I can see, and the way that I just said yes so effortlessly, it was such a yes for me. And so I ended up interviewing with her and began working for her as a dog walker. And 3 months later, I realized this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I absolutely love this, getting paid to walk dogs, exercise, be with animals. It was such a dream come true. And so I started my business. And that was in 1995. But the thing is, I'd never owned a business before. I was in my mid-20s. I had always worked for others, and never really known if I even had that motivation that is required as a business owner. And it was a really big growth opportunity for me in the beginning. I mean, I really didn't know what I was doing, number one. I didn't really know how to motivate myself to be self-employed, to work from home, the office work from home, and then, of course, caring for the animals in their home and walking them. And it was just a huge opportunity to learn about business, which is something I was super resistant to, because I always pictured business people as like really stuffy and boring and very straight-laced, and like, you have to be
suits and ties and
just
board meetings. Yeah.
And I mean, it's definitely changed, this many years later, but that really was what it was like as a business owner, in the 90s, at least what I witnessed. And it wasn't anything I was interested in, but what I was interested in was working with animals. And so I thought, if I can make this business into a creative venture, then I can run a business. Like, I can wrap my brain around that. But if it's going to be this kind of 9 to 5 or, just regimented thing, I'm not interested. And so I really, just through trial and error, learned how to create a business in a way that was creative and that worked for me and my lifestyle. And because of that, it's led to me being very passionate about that and assisting others in creating that for themselves.
Right. Okay. So you started out as a pet, like a dog walker, and then did you do anything else?
I love the bark. That was, thank you, dog.
Thank you, Poe.
That's right. Exactly.
That's that.
Yeah, it's a little exclamation mark. Dog walker. Yep, that's right.
Every time you say, thank you. Yes, his timing is apropos. If you don't know, I'm in the dog business. So
yes, I do.
Evident.
And obviously you've taught him English.
Yes. Poe, dog walker. Only when you do it.
Okay.
I don't even know how he hears you through these headphones.
I know. That's great. Oh my gosh.
So
what were you saying, Jason?
What was your transition? Because now you have 5 books. At least that's what I saw, right? So you've got 5 books, and you've got an entire academy that is just dedicated to helping people launch this dream. But I mean, there had to have been a journey from
big time
the dog walking to this.
Yeah. So like I said, I started my business in 1995. And so at that time, there was Pet Sitters International, which is an association. I got some of my information from there. But besides that, there really wasn't any learning opportunities. And so I really had to learn on my own, and I began to read books. That was my primary way to learn, because I didn't want to get a business degree, but I did need to learn how to run a business. It was not a want, but a need in order to be successful. And so I basically enrolled myself in my own business school. I'd run my business during the day, and then at night I would read my books and take notes. And that was my business academy. And through that, I began to increase my business, and I ended up hiring people. And that was a real learning curve. I had never hired anybody before. I'd always had bosses, but never been a boss to that point. And so that was a really big experience for me that I had to really learn.
So it sounds like, so a lot of this was self-taught. So like from the beginning, just kind of jumping in and getting your feet wet and kind of figuring it out from there.
Yeah, it was. And also seeing what worked. So some things in the books didn't work for this type of business. It was like throwing pasta at the wall, like some sticks, some doesn't.
Sure.
What stuck for me was something that I would continue doing. If it didn't work, then I wouldn't. I would usually try it a couple times just to make sure. But yeah, so it really was like what works for me and what doesn't. And then, being really intentional about that.
Let's kind of maybe talk about that for a quick minute. We're going to take a quick break, and then I would love to come back and like maybe just a couple tips of like, I'm thinking about getting started. What are 3 things that stuck out of the spaghetti for you that you would go back to if you had to start again. So let's take a quick break and then we'll come back to that. Sound good?
Yep, sounds great.
Awesome.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier.
My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media, the future of broadcasting. Explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
Okay, so we're sitting here talking with Kristin and learning all about her transition from being a dog walker into 5 books and an entire academy helping people launch their pet businesses. And we were just learning her beginning stages of making that transition. And Kristin, you were saying that it was really kind of a self-taught thing, and that you would kind of put something out there to see what worked and give it a few tries. Mm-hmm. Can you remember like even one thing that you were like that really made that jump for you?
So one of the things was really determining, like starting at the beginning, really determining what services to offer. So it wasn't just what do my clients need, but what do I enjoy? You know, I didn't have staff members at that point, so I was doing it, and I knew that I wanted to do things that I enjoyed. So what I enjoyed dog walking, I enjoyed pet sitting. I loved taking care of bigger animals like horses and goats and pigs, things like that, livestock.
Where were you living at the time?
Yeah, where were you living?
Yeah, so there weren't a lot of those bigger animals that I was taking care of, but I was living in Marin County at the time, and that's where I started my business and had it. And then I later expanded to Sonoma County. Okay. So I ended up covering about 40 towns when I sold my business. Yeah, I mean, not me, but, you know, my staff. and then two very large counties. But it started in one little town called Tiburon, which is, some people may know it. It's a very beautiful town, which is where I lived at the time. It means shark in Spanish.
Right. Yeah.
And it's very affluent. I wasn't affluent at the time, but it was a very affluent area, which was very great for me to start, because a lot of people didn't even know in other areas in Marin County, they didn't know that pet sitting and dog walking was the thing. It was an actual thing that you could, they would get their neighbors. Whereas in Tiburon, people did know about it. They were used to traveling. They were used to hiring people to walk their dogs. So it was a really good place for me to start, because it wasn't a well-known business at the time, but in that particular town it was. So what I discovered was really needing to determine what my services would be, which were not only services that I enjoyed, but services that my clients needed. So that was the very first thing. The second thing was naming my business. So I didn't realize how important a business name was. And I had initially my first name in my business name, which when I'm coaching pet business owners, I really discourage against that when they're first starting. I mean, if they've been in business for years and they don't want to expand, then it's clear, that's fine. But what happened for me is what happens for a lot of people. They start small and then they realize, wow, I really want to grow this thing, or the business wants to grow. Sometimes we have to listen to what the business wants and follow that lead, the lead of our business speaking to us. And so that was what happened for me. I misnamed my business. And a year later, I had to change the name. And that was harder than you would imagine. I had to let my clients know. Up until that time, I had done a lot of branding, marketing. So I had to rebrand, which is expensive for a, year-old business owner. So that's something that I would really encourage people interested in starting any kind of pet business to really deeply consider, not just, the short-term goal of like, I want to start, but the possibility that you may want to grow extraordinarily big. Like I wasn't anticipating that my business would grow.
So what did you end up settling on?
So my initial name was Kristin's Daycare for Dogs, and there wasn't daycare for dogs at that time. I mean, it was kind of ahead of its time in a way, right?
You had a vision, girl.
I did, but I didn't want to do a nursery for dogs the way it is now. What I wanted was I want to take care of dogs during the day. Like that was my thing. And so then I realized people would call and say, oh, can I drop my dog off? And I'd be like, no, this business isn't that. It's me coming to you. So it was confusing. And that's when you haven't picked the right name, when people are really confused and asking you what your name means, and what you do. So what I realized about a year into owning my business is that I did need to change the name. And I had settled on a couple different names, but I just couldn't determine which one was right. I asked a bunch of people, friends and family, and they were kind of split down the middle. And so I couldn't really do anything until I chose the right name. And so I did something that a friend of mine at the time, she's a dream researcher, and she said, Kristin, whenever I'm having difficulty making a decision, I incubate a dream. And what that looks like is I put a question out before I go to bed.
Okay.
Like, what do I do? And you spell it out like very simply and distinctly and write it down too. And so my question was, what do I name my business? And I would say it before I went to bed. And it took about 3 weeks until I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw my car. It was a Honda Civic. It was a really funky car, but I'd round up the dogs and put them in this sedan, basically, That
was my first dog walking car too. I was in a sedan.
It's so comfy though. I love driving. It's really fun. Yeah, but it stunk to high heaven. Anyway, so after a while, the dog ate the back seat. It was not pretty, but
the Toyota Avalon paid.
There you go. But, you know, what I saw in my dream was so clear. It was one of the names. One of the names was Woof Pet Sitting and Dog Walking Service. And I saw it on a magnet on my car. And I saw all these happy pet owners. Some were holding fish bowls, you know, some were holding horses and dogs and cats and all kinds of animals. And when I woke up, I just went, that's it. That's the name. And I went to City Hall and I got that name that day. I just didn't waste any time. And I ended up getting the trademark for it too, which is absolutely crucial. You know, for those listening who have a business name that is really near and dear to their heart, I would say definitely trademark it. And, you know, I initially trademarked mine through the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and it got rejected. And so I hired a trademark attorney to see if that would help, and it did. He actually was able to push it through. I hadn't done it quite correctly, which is what a lot of people do when they're trying to trademark. So if your name has gotten rejected because you've done it, you know, done the application process, I would recommend spending some extra money and hiring a trademark and patent attorney to help you. And, you know, some of the low-cost ways that you can find one is to Google or search online for low-cost legal aid. Okay. That's a good way to do it. You can also contact your nearest SCORE. If you're in the U.S., Service Corps of Retired Executives. They sometimes have retired attorneys on staff that will help you, and they're volunteers. So that can be a great way to get free legal advice.
Jason, I'm feeling a trademark in our future.
Yeah, I would recommend
I'm sitting
it.
here like I'm all,
where's my notebook? Where's my notebook?
Yeah.
No, but you know what? This is so wonderful. And I definitely like, having come from like pet sitting myself. And, you know, when I got started in 2012, it was still a relatively new business. You know, people were like, I remember telling my parents, and they were like, you do what for a living now? Where? Who? You know, but living in Los Angeles, having the affluent community definitely was a big help. But I think knowing that you're on the business and coaching sitters and coaching these people, what I would want to share with pet owners out there is, what should they look for in a pet sitting business when they're out there hiring? What tells them like, this business is reputable, these people are trustworthy, I can let this person into my home? There's a lot of different options out there now. And not a lot of, like you were saying, there's not a lot of education for pet sitters. Like kind of anyone can do it. So
that's right.
As a pet owner myself, like how would I go about finding a great dog walker, a great pet sitter?
So a lot of people will think about WAG or Rover as like the quick, easy option. It's an app they can go on. But the thing is, a lot of people, I'm not saying all of them because I know it's not true, but a lot of them are fly by night. You know, they're doing it part-time. They're probably going to be out of the business in a year. They're not even in a business. They probably don't have a business license, a lot of them. So what I would recommend is really finding somebody within your community that has an actual business. And, you know, not only is that, it's supporting a local business owner as well, which is really important, especially these days, right? You know, we're all really conscious of supporting our community. And so that's a way to do it. What you want to look for besides finding somebody who actually has a reputable business is to make sure that they are licensed. So they have a business license. It doesn't mean that they're licensed as a pet sitter or dog walker or dog trainer. I mean, that's important too. You know, in a lot of the professions that are pet related, you can find licenses for those, but really you're looking for somebody that has a business license that is insured and bonded. Bonded is basically theft insurance. And even if they're self-employed, if it's just them, it's still important. You know, it's important to know that you're being covered, you know, if something should go missing. The other thing I really recommend that you do check references. I would recommend not just going with the review sites that they may send you, but actually, you know, seeing if they'd be willing to give you a couple client names and numbers of people in your actual area and talking to them and saying, what was your experience with them like? Like, was there anything you wished that they had done or not done? And if they're good, likely those are going to be really great phone calls. No, not necessarily, but usually, because they're going
hard to please everybody.
Those. I know it is. The other thing is, and this is so important in life and in business, is listening to our gut. So somebody may look great on paper or on the computer, and I, went through this a number of times when I was hiring pet sitters and dog walkers to work for my company. I hired over 250 dog walkers and pet sitters in the course of the 18 years that I had my business. When I sold it, I had 35 dog walkers and pet sitters. But as a result of that, having that experience of hiring so many people, I really learned to listen to my gut. It was not about, the application was very important. The references were important, but ultimately, would I want to leave my animals in the care of this person, my home in the care of this person? How do I feel in their presence? Are they able to look me in the eye, or are they kind of shifty? These are all things that are really important to take note of. And, we often discount our initial impression, but if you've read the book by Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point, it's about how we make decisions in the blink of an eye. And, a lot of us don't listen to that. And we need to, especially when it comes to hiring somebody to work in our business or to care for our pets and be in our home.
Well, I think you could reverse engineer all that same advice for being the pet sitter. Like when you're going to somebody's home.
You're right. That's right.
Take the same advice and kind of flip it.
That's a really good point, Jason. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, the power of saying no.
Oh,
it's huge.
It's funny because I'm in the middle of, I have a 30-day pet business challenge that I'm leading right now. And I did a Facebook Live for that group today. And was talking about the power of no and how hard it is.
So hard.
To say no when you're first starting. It gets easier the more you do it. It's like working a muscle at the gym. But, what I've discovered, and I was sharing this morning in the Facebook Live, is, business has been my greatest teacher in my life. It has brought me some of my greatest joy, and it's brought me some of my greatest pain, when things haven't worked. And it's been such an amazing teacher. It's taught me how to say no. It's taught me how to set boundaries. And
self-advocate.
That's right. And, how to take care of myself. I could work 24/7, but that doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve my clients. So, I just think having the business be a teacher and really looking at it as a vehicle to teach us how to be better humans, better business owners. It's a real opportunity.
So with that in mind, why don't we take a quick break and then come back to that yes-no idea a little bit more and try and define when it's a good fit for somebody to jump into the pet business and when it might not be a good fit. Alrighty, so quick break.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother! We can do this together!
All right, let's go! Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you? What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know!
I know!
You don't? Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No! Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this! To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. Cool. Very cool. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
No idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
All right, so we were just talking about almost like a yes-no mentality or strategy or something, like whatever you want to wrap our
your
words
gut,
around.
your instinct.
Our gut. And I like Sylvia and I both get that like entrepreneurial drive. We had a conversation about it the other day, and it's like we're driven to want to be a part of that, even if we weren't in the dog community. Like we've just taken two passions and put them together. Mm-hmm. Working with your clients and people that are getting started in this, like how do you advise people that not to ruin a passion? Like I've seen it happen with photography a lot, where like, oh, I just love pictures so much, and then 2 years from now they're like, I hate my camera, I don't like people, like, and I can see the same thing in the animal community.
Yeah, burnout.
Yeah,
big
where it's like,
time.
okay, this wasn't really the right decision. Maybe we should have shifted things differently. Like how do you help people figure that out?
Yeah, so that is a huge pain point in the industry. And I love that you brought that up because it's so crucial. And a lot of people go in not even thinking about that. They love it just like I loved it. But, I suffered from burnout as well. And so some things that I've done in my own business and what I've helped my coaching clients do too is to really look at, self-care. Everybody talks about self-care, and I actually don't love that word. I don't think it's, I think it's overused, it's watered down, it's diluted. So my word these days is self-love. Like instead of self-care, self-love, like what are you doing today to love yourself? And
I love that.
Everybody talks about, well, I love you, but love is a verb. So it's not only like, loving others as a verb, but it's loving yourself as a verb. Like, how are you actually tangibly demonstrating that to yourself? And what are you doing to give yourself the peace that you need in the midst of this challenging world right now that we're in, especially, but not only that, when business is in full swing. And so it's different for everyone. So I'll just tell you, what my ways to really give myself that peace are. So for me, it really is simple pleasures. And I think the simple pleasures can be the most easy to integrate into life because they don't take a long time, but yet the impact of them can be substantial. So, mine are anything like warm water. I love taking baths. I love drinking tea, that's kind of my thing. But exercise is super important. Now, those who are pet sitting and dog walking may be already getting a lot of exercise, but if you're not, like I went from dog walking to actually just running my business, I had to get the exercise in because that was really affecting my mood. It was affecting my body. I went from walking all the time to not walking and being
8 hours of cardio a day to 0.
Yeah, exactly. That will impact the body, mind, and spirit. And it's really important. And, they've done studies on exercise and how impactful it is in the morning. Like, people are much more likely to actually do it if they do it first thing in the morning. So, my cutoff time for myself to do exercise was noon. Like, I had to do it before noon. If I did it, I was unlikely to do it after noon. There was something about that. And the earlier, the better, so really looking at, the basics, sleep. Like, and are you on your phone right before you go to bed? Because that's going to impact your sleep in a big, big way. I was listening to a podcast. I love the podcast Crime Junkie. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Sounds awesome.
It sounds great.
It's good, but it's really dramatic, and I was listening to it before bed the other night, and I had a dream about it was a nightmare, I thought, okay, in the news, don't watch the news before bed, all these things that are
or ever.
Yeah, exactly. Amen. Amen to that. Yeah. So, those are some things, but, also really looking at your schedule at the beginning of the week. What are you doing that is going to replenish you? That's not just giving to others. If you don't put it in your calendar, it's probably not going to happen. So do it. It's kind of like the Nike quote, just do it. It's like that for when we're giving ourselves what we need in order to replenish, restore, renew.
Yeah, I feel like what a lot of people don't realize about the pet care industry, and was something that I really discovered firsthand when I had my first burnout, is that it is a service industry, and more importantly, it is a caretaker role.
That's right.
So when you're going in, if this is something you're looking at as like a career because you really love animals, be prepared. You are changing your life, and you're now a caretaker.
That's right.
So finding that moment to really caretake yourself becomes extremely important, At least for me, I noticed when I first got started, I was so enthusiastic. I was so passionate. I was walking 17 dogs a day. I was doing 17 dogs a day because I could. And I was 22 and I had that energy. And then but I wasn't eating because I was in my car trying to get to 17 home.
Oh God. Yes.
So
yes.
The burnout is very real. And
it really is. I'm so glad you brought that up. And, I hear from a lot of pet sitters, dog walkers, dog trainers who are eating in their car, and they're eating a lot of fast food because they have to just eat. They get hangry and then they have to eat in the moment. So what can they get quick, And so preparation is really, I would say, a really big facet of recovering from burnout and preventing it, is looking at, what can you do to take care of yourself ahead of time before you need it? So preparing the food, the night before, having snacks in the car that you can grab that are healthy and quick, looking, like I said, looking at your schedule and really looking at where are you in your schedule? And you are going to be giving a lot to your clients. And, one more thing about clients that I had to learn the hard way, which was what I discovered was 5% of my clients were really challenging to deal with. And 95% were a piece of cake for the most part. And the 5% were really sapping 95% of my energy. And so I had to like flip it and go, I don't want to do that. And my 95% of my clients are getting, you know, the leftovers from me because I'm dealing with these really challenging clients. So I began getting really rigorous about letting them go. And, or what I would do is just, you know, charge them a lot because they were really taking a lot of my energy, and I would have to.
This is a good insider tip. If your dog walker has suddenly started raising their rates, you may be a difficult client.
You might be this 5%.
You might be a difficult client.
We had the same thing. We had
like gently breaking up with someone.
We had the conversation at the studio many times that one piece of bad news carried the same amount of weight of 20 pieces of good news. And trying to balance that out is really, really difficult. I don't think that we were prepared for the emotional space that it would put into our worlds and take home and all that.
I do understand that. It's kind of like a bad review. You know, one bad review can really
shakes you.
Yeah, it can. And especially pet business owners by nature tend to be sensitive.
That is a great word.
Yeah, we're drawn to working with animals.
We're soft.
We're soft and, you know, we're open and vulnerable, you know, just like animals are. And so, you know, looking at what I did, and this was really helpful for me because I am also one of those sensitive people. I created a feel-good file. So whenever a client sent me a note, and it was an actual file or a good email, like a really nice, Kristin, you're so wonderful, I would print it out, put it in my feel-good file. And, you know, then when I did get a bad review, because it happens if you've been in business long enough, you just, like you were saying, you can't please everyone.
You just can't.
It's impossible when you're dealing with the public. You know, then I would get out my feel-good file and like, it would help me self-soothe, you know, that part that was like, oh God, they don't like me. You know, it's like, I'm fine. You know, they're lucky to have me.
Yes. No, it's so true. Yeah. I mean, I'm over here taking more notes, you know,
but that
and
falls
I think
into that self-love, right? Like to really, you have to find ways of taking care of your emotional state just as much as the physical, just as much as the exercising and getting out and trying to eat better. At the very least, make sure that you don't beat yourself up over every little mistake.
It's true.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is, Sylvia, one of my kind of secret weapons that I have used for the past, over 20 years now is something called morning pages. And it's, I found it through Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. So it's not a business tool per se, but I found it to be really impactful in my business. It's basically every morning writing 3 pages in your journal and not editing, spell checking, just like writing and getting it out. You know, we hold so much, especially as business owners, and we're dealing with so much. And it's like getting it from the head into onto the paper can be really powerful and free up our energy in order to really show up fully for ourselves, our, you know, relationships, our businesses. And so that's something that I've made it a practice to do, you know, a lot, and not every day anymore, but you know, I still do it quite a bit. And I have a shed full of journals, you know, for these 20 years. And not only is it a way to kind of do self-therapy in a way, but it's also like I got some great business ideas as a result of doing that. You know, my to-do list would sometimes come from that journal writing, and it's a really impactful way to start the day, in addition to the exercise, the eating well, you know, all of that. It can be a good way to kind of deal with to practice mental hygiene. You know, we all need to do that. And one way is to kind of get it out from the brain.
I just have to say, I'm just like totally geeking out over here because literally this morning I was talking to my assistant and I was like, I wake up and I get in my car and as I'm driving to work, I just feel like I'm in this fog of information and I can't get away from it because I have like now that, because I just recently this year became a business owner. I'd always been like a consummate. I was like the eternal independent contractor. And now I have 3 employees and like, it's crazy all of a sudden.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I'm just like, there's so much going on. So how serendipitous that you're like, some morning pages would be great. So Sylvia is taking quite a bit from this. On that note, I think it's time for a break. And when we get back, I just kind of want to wrap around to the beginning where we were talking about self-advocating, the power of saying no. And I want to talk to you a little bit about firing clients.
Oh, yes.
So we'll get back to that after the break.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media, the future of broadcasting. Listen live at phoenixmedia.us.
And we're back with Kristin, and I wanted to kind of wrap everything up with this idea of, you know, going into business for yourself. This is something that I had to learn even as an independent contractor, you know, is the idea of self-advocating and really being able to say, like, this is good for me, this isn't good for me. So coming back around to that, 5% of your clients who they're just not good for you. They're toxic, and what it looks like to fire a client. And like, I know that this is very taboo business, but it's so real. And I think whatever business you're in, you should be able to fire your clients. So talk to me a little bit about how you feel about that and how you go about that.
Well, I strongly recommend it if they're a pain in the butt and they're causing you more pain than joy, consistently. I mean, everyone's going to be challenging occasionally, but not everyone, but a lot of people. So it's, are they impacting you in a negative way? A lot. So first thing, gentle. You want to be gentle with these people when you're letting them go. I want you to think about a challenging client that you're about to fire like an egg. You wouldn't just drop the egg because it would get all over the floor, make a mess, stink after a while, right? So difficult clients and letting them go are like that. Often difficult clients, just like animal people are very sensitive, difficult clients can be, they can retaliate. So you want to be very careful because of that. It doesn't mean that they won't. And a lot of people are afraid to fire clients because they're afraid of that negative review. And I want to say, do it anyway. So, I'm just kind of giving you an overview here. So when you go to let them go, first of all, what I would do is I would contact various pet professionals who could be a good referral for them. And you can ask, tell them, like, be straight with them. This is a really difficult client. Here's how they're difficult. What's your difficult may not be somebody else's difficult. So true. But you want them to know what they're getting into and not just like give this difficult client their names because
you don't want to upset your fellow sitters.
No, you don't. It's not nice. So that's the first thing. Very, very important to, and then once you've got like one or two who say, I'll do it, I'm happy to take care of them, or, I'm at least willing to talk to them. Then contact the client, and I recommend, as uncomfortable as it is, to do it over the phone rather than by email, because email, the tone can be taken out of context.
Absolutely.
I actually have a practice in my life, not just in business, but in life. Anytime there's a really difficult conversation, I need to have it in person or by phone.
Yeah, I need to hear my tone.
That's right. And we need to have a discussion about it. Instead of email, because email can be very charged and challenging. You want to just deal with them in real time, whether it's on the phone or in person. So that's the first thing. You want to get them on the phone. So you're on the phone with them. And what I would recommend saying is the most gentle thing you can say is, I realize that I'm not quite the right fit for you. So you're not saying you're not the right fit for me, which is going to trigger their rejection, just like if you were breaking up with somebody, and you are breaking up with a client.
Yes. It's not you.
Yeah.
It's me.
I know. Exactly. It is you.
But it's not you.
No. But, so you want to say that and you want to jump into, I want you to get the best care possible in the way that'll fit your pet's needs, in a way that'll fit your needs. And I can see that I'm not the right person to do that as much as I might like to. You don't want to lie. So if that's a stretch, I would leave that part out. But then I would say, I did check around, and I did find someone who would love to talk to you. And I think she could be, or he could be, a really good fit for you. And I'd love to give you their information. And I'm going to really miss your pets. Like, often the difficult clients have really great pets.
Wonderful pets.
Yeah, not always. Sometimes it equates a difficult dog or cat, But, often it's harder for us to let the pets go than it is difficult people. And that can prevent us from actually doing it. But it's important, and that pet ultimately will be happier with somebody who's happy to be doing it. If you're not happy to be doing it, pets feel that. They're sensitive, just like you are.
Yeah. If you're not happy there, and that's going to just lead to that burnout. And for the client who might be listening to this and might be fearing that they are the difficult client.
Yes.
I just always like to reiterate, it's like, just like you said, what's difficult for me might not be difficult for somebody else. And like someone else's capacity or personality, right? We're all unique individuals. I come from a family of 11. I have 10 brothers and sisters, but that doesn't mean I like to hang out with all 10 of my brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? So in that sense too, I may have 100 clients, but that doesn't mean I want to take all 100 clients out for lunch. And the clients who I don't even want to be in the same room with, like they should have somebody, like you should have somebody who wants to take you out to lunch. You deserve that in a sitter as much as your sitter deserves to feel happy and competent working with you, so it's mutually beneficial. So I would say like, try not to be offended, roll with it and know that ultimately it's going to be the best for both sides,
Yes, it will. And not only both sides, but the pets too. Yeah.
Which is everyone's priority in this situation.
Totally.
Let's be real.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's right.
I think the other good thing too is setting boundaries. Like I think sometimes if they aren't our best friend, then we automatically put them down to like what's wrong instead of like there's like this huge gray area of average, which you should really be targeting. Like that's like neutral. A bunch of average is awesome, right? Yeah. And occasionally the good, but like I've fallen into that trap before where it's like if I don't want to be best friends with him, then something clearly must be wrong, and that's not always the case. Like find some rest in that.
That's
like,
right.
Like this is easy. Like they're happy enough, I'm happy enough. We're not best friends. There's no extra obligations. That's a win.
Yeah, it is. In fact, for me in the beginning when I started, I did kind of want to be friends with certain clients, but what I discovered is that gets messy, And so as I matured being a business owner, in my business ownership, I realized I don't want to be friends with my clients because I'm working a lot anyway. And that's another thing that can lead to burnout when you're with your clients, on off time. So for me, it was really wanting to detach fully.
Yeah. And I do have clients who have become my best friends, and I quickly, had them go to somebody else for pet care because
smart.
For me, it was worth it to lose the client than the friend. But, everyone's got to navigate that water, I try not to do now as a dog trainer. I try not to train friends' dogs because it's just, or family pets. It's, it gets sticky.
It does.
Yeah, it gets a little hairy.
Well, and you, no pun intended, and yet you also, I know you have to deal with the way the people are training their dogs. And so that does get sticky. It's like often it is about the human more than the dog. You're training the people more than the dog in a way. So I can see that it would get really sticky for you.
Yeah, or hairy.
Or Harry, yes.
So tell us a little bit about your universities. We kind of wrap everything up here. I'm fascinated to hear about that.
So I have Six Figure Pet Business Academy, and I started it in 2010 and actually started coaching pet business owners in the year 2000. So it's been over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
amazing.
Oh, yeah. I've coached thousands of pet business owners from all over the world. And, it's interesting, even in coaching people from all over the world, there's so many similarities no matter where you are in the world as a pet business owner. A lot of it translates, and a lot of what we talked about today translates no matter where you're at in the world. So I offer business coaching. I have monthly webinars that I do. I have online courses. One of my courses is how to start a pet sitting and dog walking business in 7 days. So that's a brand new course that I am actually about to launch. I've had beta testers for it, and they have raved about it. So I feel great about it. It took me 4 months to create that course, and it's a video course with 25 video modules and a workbook, and will just help you start a business in 7 days. And then I also have a Catapult online program, which is for those who've been in the pet business world for a while that really want to take their business to the next level. And I have products. I have a business startup kit for pet sitters and dog walkers. And yeah, I love, love, love helping pet business owners. And I've written 5 books, and I'm working on my 6th book. Actually, just finished the writing of my 6th book. So that
amazing
is coming out in I think March of 2021. So in
a couple months,
a month and a half. Yeah, exactly. So it's exciting.
So if any of our listeners are like dabbling and they're like, I'm going to maybe do it, which one of your books would you say, pick this one up, read it, and see if it's...
Yeah. So I would say 30 days to start and grow your pet sitting and dog walking business. It's not only starting, but it's growing. And that's for people who have been in business for a while that need to really expand. And it's also for people who are considering, they're like, do I want to do this? It's a 30-day book, and it's an audiobook on Audible. And it's also on Amazon in paperback or Kindle version.
Love that.
Amazing. Kristin.
Hold on, I don't think it can be overstated enough. Let me just jump in.
He's
here
like,
really quick.
wait a second.
This is
I'm not done.
I feel really strongly about. I think so many of us go into this entrepreneurship and starting a business. Yes, you're going to have to figure out a lot of this on your own, but you need a mentor. Like, you really need somebody to help you filter through good ideas and shiny objects.
That's right.
And I struggle. Like, the shiny objects are like my thing, and I'm going to try this now, and I'm going to try this now. And knowing like when something really isn't working versus you're just getting it wrong, like get a mentor, like get somebody that can help you through some of this stuff. And especially if you're fortunate enough to find somebody like Kristin that's going to be in the niche that you want to specialize in, that it's invaluable for how fast you'll go from point A to point Z with somebody like that. So
yeah, it makes a difference. It doesn't have to be me. There are a lot of people out there. I would say pick the one that you resonate with, because it is a working relationship, and you want someone that you feel comfortable with, that you feel safe with, that you can share, that you trust, and that doesn't happen immediately, but it should happen over time. You should feel that trust, and you want somebody that's super direct, like not someone who's just fluffing you up. You want, like, when I'm coaching people, I am really like, no, that don't do that. That's not going to help you, because for me, I want my coaching clients to see a difference in their work with me and in their businesses. And if they could do it on their own, they would have done it and it would have worked, but it's not working. So, how can we do it differently? And there's something too about having another set of eyeballs on your business, and having somebody else who has vision, who has been there before, that can kind of see what could work and what might not. And you want a coach too, if you're looking for one, who is not like a cookie cutter coach who just does like a formula. You want somebody who's really objectively looking at your business and letting you know what will work and what won't.
And in case you do want it to be Kristin, all of her links will be in the description of this episode, of course. Well, Kristin, this was such a pleasure. We had so much fun chatting with you today. You are an inspiration and you have a new fan in me for sure.
Aww. Both of us.
So yeah, I can't wait to hopefully meet up with you again and
I would love it.
To dive in more to what you're doing. It's incredible. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I want to take a quick moment and thank Kristin once again for being with me and Jasen today. Anything that we talked about today, any one of Kristin's books or her coaching program, including her 7-day intensive, can be found linked in the show notes and at thedogishpodcast.com. As always, make sure you're checking us out on social at The Dogish Podcast. You can also find me at Dog Up in This Bitch on Instagram, and you can find Jasen at Forever USA. Kristin Kristin is at Pet Biz Coach on IG. Again, you'll find all of that. And if you're not already subscribed, you should be. So hit the subscribe button. And if there's a topic or personality that you want to hear on our show, please let us know. If there's something that's moving you, we want to move it with you. So until next time, I think that Jasen has a joke for us. Go ahead, sir. All right. Do it.
I'm going to crush this one. You ready?
I'm so ready. I'm on the edge of my chair.
What do you call a dog magician? A labracadabrador.
That one was actually good. Oh my goodness.
So good. Tune in next week for another dog
next
joke.
Week. If that's all the reason you're coming, just come for that.
Bye.
Bye.